Good evening, everyone. May I have a mover and a seconder to call this meeting to order? Henry and Mike, that this Committee of Adjustments meeting held on October 23, 2024, come to order at 6 p.m. All those in favor? Carried. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest this evening? Seeing none. May I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the previous minutes? Brad? Mike? That the Committee of Adjustments meetings dated September 25, 2024 be adopted as presented. All in favor? Carried. Welcome to this Committee of Adjustments meeting to allow the public an opportunity to express their views regarding the proposed minor variances and consents within the Township of Springwater. Each applicant and their agent is applicable, if applicable, will be given the opportunity to present the applications to the committee and public. Additional information on each of the applications, including any presentation materials, is available in the committee agenda on the township's website. Following those members of the public who registered an oral submission prior to 5:30 p.m. October 22, 2024, will be given the opportunity to do so. All oral submissions will be included in this meeting's minutes and form part of the public record, including the name and address of the speaker as information collected under the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. The minutes of all meetings will be posted on the township website. All comments or questions should be addressed to the chair. Application 1, will the Secretary Treasurer please introduce the first application, item number 4.1 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.1 on the agenda is minor variance application A30/24 submitted by S. Islam on behalf of G. Merriam regarding lands known municipally as 32 Periwinkle Road. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit a reduced number of total parking spaces for the primary dwelling unit from 2 spaces to 1 for the creation of an additional residential unit, which would result in a deficiency in the total minimum number of required parking space provisions as described. A minimum number of required parking spaces of 1 space for the dwelling unit, whereas section 3.41.3 requires a minimum number of required parking spaces of 2 spaces for the dwelling unit.
Have any additional correspondence or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from Enbridge Gas, Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, the County of Simcoe, all stating no concerns. Source Water Protection stating the South Georgian Bay Lake Simcoe Protection Plan applies to the site and precautionary measures should be taken. The Severn Sound Environmental Association stating no concerns, and residents of 30 Periwinkle Road.
Can I please have the applicant introduce themselves and provide comment, if any? I just come to the front and sort of speak into both those speakers.
Hi, Miriam Ghafouri.
You can sit if you want.
I did have a representative, but it seems he's not online, so I guess I'll be representing myself.
Should be, we were just waiting to get him.
Okay.
With the phone number with the last digits 0198, would you be able to unmute if you are the agent for this application? Seeing none, so can continue.
Thank you. I didn't know if you have anything to say. The other person isn't on.
Nothing really to say. I think it was pretty clear. I'm trying to reduce my primary from 2 to 1 in order to make room for 1 for a second dwelling that I want to build in the basement.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public registered to make an oral submission? Thank
Uh,
you. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, yes, we actually have 3 individuals of 30 Periwinkle Road who have registered to speak and have registered to be in person. So if they're available, they can come to the front.
You can come ahead and sit here if you wanted to sit back, sure. If you want to, yep, you can come up. If you just state your name and address for us, that would be perfect.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity that is being given to us to voice our opinion. We truly appreciate. For the record, my name is Anne Okpara, and I own the building at 30 Periwinkle Road, Minnesota, Ontario. And I also live in the said building with my children, and my aging parents. Thank you. Okay, I am opposed to the minor variance, and I think I sent my note to you guys. I checked your website and I saw that you've already uploaded it on your website, and I truly appreciate. So I am opposed to the minor variance for the reduction of the number of the total parking space for the primary dwelling unit from 2 to 1, and for the creation of a residential unit for the following reasons. The first reason is children's safety. Reducing the number of parking space and creating additional dwelling unit will lead to increased congestion. And as we all know, we live there. We see how congested the place is always because there's construction going there always. Some of the times we're asked to remove our cars and we're looking for somewhere to park the car. So reducing that from 2 to 1, we pose a safety issues for the children because of the congestion of cars that will be parked on the curb and limited visibility for drivers, posing a risk to children playing in the area. It will also be disruptive to the children living around the neighborhood because it will restrict their playing space and limit the opportunity for outdoor activities. Also, it will also limit the children's visibility because I live directly close to the to number 32 Periwinkle, and if an additional dwelling unit is built, that will mean when my kids comes out to play, they won't be able to see what is going on the other side. They will have to calm down a little bit so that they will see what is going on the other side. And because of that, the space for them playing will be limited, and that will kind of be risky just in case of a driver that is driving in a very uncomfortable way. Also, the street has already had an issue with limited parking, as I said, and reducing the number of the dwelling unit will cause inconveniences for the visitors, for the residents, because the place is already very tight. The value of the property on the street will also diminish. Adding a residential unit may also decrease the overall value of the property, as overcrowding and limited parking that can deter potential buyers or renters. It is essential to consider the impact on property value when adding more units to the neighborhood. The property owner actually does Airbnb with her property. And at the same time, she has the right to do whatever she wants to do with her property. But it is essential for her to be mindful of the potential consequences that will create, that creating an additional unit will pose on the existing neighbors and communities. She does not live in the neighborhood and she doesn't even know what we deal with from day to day about the impact of traffic, noises, disruption, and adding an additional unit in the front will not be good at all for us. And besides, if you go to the neighborhood, you will see 3 posters already in front of the place of the people that are opposed to putting on additional dwelling units in the area. A potential new development that will arise due to the variance will also obstruct the view to the other side of the neighborhood, further altering the original appeal of the place, and the increased traffic will lead to more wear and tears on the local road, potentially increasing maintenance costs for the community. Also, when we bought the property, we bought it based on the current zoning regulation, and granting this variance will diminish the value in our investment. Considering the long-term consequences of allowing the variance on the neighborhood overall livability and potential values in crisis. And as I said, there are already 3 signs in front of the house. And I know of our neighbor that also doesn't want it. We spoke about it. He too, he has little children. We all have little children that comes out to play. And we don't think it would be nice, even in the long term, to put that. If she wants to we don't care whatever she wants to do with her property. She has the right to do whatever she wants to do with her property. But we're respectfully requesting that we that live in the neighborhood, we know what we're already facing. Right now, there is a construction going on there. That place is already too inconvenient for us to live in. And the value of the place is diminishing daily. Putting that will not be good for us. If she wants to build additional dwelling units, she can do it at the back of her property, but not in the front. And she's very, very close to us. So with that, I respectfully submit that we don't want the variance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any additional members of the public in attendance this evening to make an oral submission?
Actually, I'm here also to oppose the variance because safety most importantly, and as she has mentioned, the structure or the zoning structure of that area will also be affected, and also I know I'm reserving that part of it of saying that she doesn't know what we go through there because she doesn't live there. And I know that she doesn't live there. That is for business and already the noise and the other things that are going on there. But because of neighborhood, we just contend now putting up another one. She's not going to live in that place, in that area. It's still for business. And also with the children that are there, at times you see them, they're riding bicycle and they're walking on the street and they're playing on the grass. Putting that there is going to remove that natural view and that natural enjoyment of the children because there will be a house there and it's going to be blocking the views and even the fresh air that we breathe because it's an open area, and when you come from one end and you can look through to the other end, and that gives it a kind of nice view, and also the air is breathed. But when you come and breathe that air, that is not naturally, it is not good. So adding those ones to the ones that the first speaker said. By the way, my name is Peace, and I'm also a neighbor there, and I strongly believe that it is not fair. If she wants to increase this thing, she can do it at the backyard, but be considerate because we are all human beings. Unless if there is any other reason that she has, which I don't think that that will supersede the children and the safety of the neighborhood and quietness of the neighborhood. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. Do any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the application? Brad?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Back when just as a bit of background, my background, when this development was being considered and approved and the conditions were involved, I was working for the township. We had quite a few concerns about parking in this part of the development and the remainder of the development. We had quite a few vigorous discussions regarding parking, regarding setbacks, regarding snow storage. At the end of the day, we did end up, in my case, reluctantly agreeing, I think, to a lot of the parking provisions. But to reduce the number of required parking spots, I'm strongly opposed to. I think it's just going to be causing a problem in the future for the township. And as a taxpayer here, I just don't think we should be having to accommodate it. So I'm opposed to this, and given the history, I'm surprised that staff supported this, although to be fair, I don't know how much staff are still here from 10 years ago. And I don't know what the staffing is like in the Public Works Department because I think they're the ones that would have had a bigger problem with this as well, but I know there's been quite a bit of turnover. Thank you. And no disrespect to the planning staff, it's just history.
Thank you. Any other committee member? Henry?
Through you, Chair, to staff, is there any allowance for parking on the street?
So, thank you, through the chair to the rest of the committee. So on-street parking is allowed in Springwater on any road without permit, just not within, I believe it is in the report, somewhere, but I believe it's from November to April, and it's still permitted during the day, but for snow clearing purposes, parking on street is permitted during the day, but not during the night hours during, Oh, it's specifically it's from 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. from November 1 to March 31st that parking on street is not allowed.
Thank you. Any other members? Steve?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, the province is really pushing for these additional units. There's an environmental registry that's just closing today, having to do with accessory or additional residential units, and the province is going to be shifting, and I think maybe even part of this, it may be eliminating parking requirements for these additional residential units, which would then make this variance null and void if they don't need to provide that additional parking units. I know I'm dealing with this in my own municipality where I work. So I can understand the concerns in these areas. Parking is permitted on street. However, during those times that staff have outlined, it's mainly because of snow removal and making sure there's not vehicles there. So there is that concern. However, I just wanted to clarify that the province is really pushing for these types of additional residential units. So, and parking, while it's important, the province may be shifting towards not requiring it at all for additional residential units. So, thank you.
Thank you. Henry? Or Brad?
I just want to say maybe switching, it's not, they are switching. And there's a big difference there. And I know the developer really pushed regarding parking with respect to the township, with respect to the province. And we were able to hold firm on the parking. And I think this committee should continue to.
Henry?
I just wanted to, that was the same view as I was going to express as Brad did, so I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Any other committee members? Mike?
Just one question, excuse me, to staff. So effectively, the application is asking for rather than one parking spot in the garage and one in the driveway, to just have one in the driveway?
So my understanding, but this would have to kind of be confirmed, through, whether the owner is occupying the main dwelling or the, a proposed additional residential unit in the basement. But essentially we would tie one of the spaces. So, the garage, it would make sense to tie it to the main dwelling and then tie the space, the legal space in the garage, or not garage, in the driveway to the other unit.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so again, for my own clarification, there's one inside parking spot and one outside parking spot currently, and they're asking to forfeit one of those. So there's going to be one outside parking spot in the future if this is approved. And so the concern would be the need for alternate parking would be on the street. But the street would still be used for alternate parking for somebody else if this resident didn't use it. Is that, am I correct? Is it still going to look the same to be one car parked outside?
Yeah, there's no there's no room to make an additional spot. That's why this
I get
variance
that.
is coming
Am I
forward.
clear? That's, at the end of this process, either way, there'll be one parking spot outside
Yes,
on the property.
yes.
Brad?
And just one thing to clarify, I don't believe that there's a bylaw in place that can force the garage to be available for a parking spot. I know we all in theory say we're gonna park in the garage and it ends up full of lawnmowers and whatever else. So we could potentially be having two units now with one parking spot.
Steve?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Question to staff. What does the zoning bylaw have in terms of provisions in regards to tandem parking? Thank you.
It's permitted in our zoning bylaw, and it's also, I believe, the same Ontario regulation that that required that ARU would only be permitted to have a required parking ratio of 1 per unit. In that same regulation, it says that a tandem space may fulfill that role.
Brad?
Does that tandem space have to be all contained within the lot area? It cannot, in other words, it can't extend onto the road allowance, correct?
I would believe so, yes.
And I don't believe there's enough room there to have two cars in tandem without extending onto the road allowance. Not the traveled portion of the road allowance, which is 20 meters wide.
Sorry, could you rephrase that statement?
Sure. If there were two cars parked like this,
In the driveway.
in the driveway, the car that was closest to the road wouldn't be parked on the residential lot. It would actually be parked on the township road allowance, the road boulevard. But that is the road allowance. It's required for snow plowing, even though it's not stored there necessarily. When the road is plowed, if that car is there, they can't push the snow up to where the car is. And will either damage the car or they have to leave a indentation. I know that at the end of the day, that snow has to be cleared for the resident to get out, but that's their responsibility to move it onto the lot. But if there is a car there, you can't clear the roads properly. Thank you.
Any other comments from committee members? Steve?
Thank you, Madam Chair, to staff. So there's, in the report, it talks about the parking space having a minimum size requirement. Does the zoning bylaw have a minimum requirement for a driveway length? Or does the township just use the parking space standard as a driveway length? Thank you.
I can't give any information on standards for driveways. I just know that we have the provisions for the size of a parking stall has to be 3 meters by 6 meters.
Brad?
My recollection from the bylaw is that the driveway has to be a minimum of 4.25 meters long. So from the property line to the front of the garage, 4.25 meters.
Mike?
That bylaw may be true enough, but this driveway is 19'3". So it is what it is. It doesn't matter what the bylaw says. The driveway is that size, if this drawing is correct. So in my mind, there's one car available to be parked outside, regardless of whose car it is. And no matter how many people live there, any other cars have to be parked elsewhere. So I think the history of the development and the whatever bylaws for parking spots are a moot point to me. To me, visually, nothing would change in this situation. The comments recently about cars parked in front would change, but there's nothing to stop anybody else from parking their car. The neighbor across the street parking their car there. So I still see one dwelling with a closed garage door and one car parked in front, unless I'm missing something.
Any other comments from community members? May I have a motion from one of the committee members for application A30/24? Steve?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that the application be approved as outlined in the staff report. Thank you.
May I have a seconder? Mike? The Committee of Adjustments, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of land in question and its surrounding as addressed in the planning report on application dated October 23, 2024, that correspondence received and information presented at the hearings held on October 23, 2024, and the decision on the matter hereby approve application A30-2024. All in favor? That's lost. So what happened is that motion for having one driveway got denied.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, we just have to move on. That application is done. If you won't have any questions, you can actually just phone the staff on that. Okay, thank you. Application 2, will the Secretary Treasurer please introduce the next application, item number 4.2 in the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.2 on the agenda is minor variance application A31/24 submitted by G. Livy, regarding lands known municipally as 2238 South Ore Lake Road. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit the construction of a single-story detached accessory building with a ground floor area of 55 square meters, which would result in the exceedance of the total maximum area provisions as described below. A maximum total gross floor area of accessory buildings or structures of 86 square meters, whereas section 15.3.4 permits a maximum total area of accessory buildings or structures shall be 65 square meters.
Have any additional correspondence and or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from Enbridge Gas, Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, County of Simcoe, Source Water Protection, all stating no concerns, and the Severn Sound Environmental Association providing comments on the application.
Can I please have the agent introduce themselves and provide comment, if any?
Hello, my name's Gordon Levy. I'm trying to build a small garage on a slab. And I exceed the number allowed because I have a boathouse. So it kind of is the reason for this application.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public registered to make an oral submission?
There are no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission.
Thank you. Are there any additional members of the public in attendance this evening to make an oral submission? Do any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the application? Steve?
Thank you, Madam Chair. To the applicant, so this building is required to store your boat, but you have a boathouse.
It's for cars.
It's for cars?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, you mentioned boat. That's why I was,
Well, it's because I went over the number of the outbuildings.
so is it only for the storage of vehicles? Is there
Yes.
gonna be any other?
No, just
Okay,
cars.
okay, thank you.
Any other members want to speak? May I have a motion from one of the committee members for application A31-24? Mike? May I have a seconder? Brad? The Committee of Adjustments having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of land in question and its surrounding as addressed in the planning report on the application dated October 23, 2024, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearings held on October 23, 2024, and the discussion on the matter hereby approve application A31-2024. A31-24, all in favor? Carried. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Application 3, will the Secretary Treasurer please introduce the next application, item number 4.3 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.3 on the agenda is minor variance application A32/24 submitted by F. Edgecombe regarding lands known municipally as 24 Kerr Street. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit the construction of a single-story detached accessory building within the interior side yard, whereas Section 4.3.12 permits detached accessory buildings to be erected and used in the rear yard.
Have any additional correspondence or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from Enbridge Gas, the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, the County of Simcoe, Source Water Protection, and the Severn Sound Environmental Association, all stating no concerns.
Can I please have the agent introduce themselves and provide comment, if any?
Very similar to the last gentleman. Yeah, absolutely. No problem.
Thank you.
Similar to the last gentleman, kind of. But yeah, we don't have a garage right now, no garage at all. And having a garage in the rear yard just it seemed a little silly. It wouldn't look right, and it would also, the driveway to get there would take up the whole side yard, which is half the backyard as it is. So I was just hoping to build a garage essentially right beside the house.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public registered to make an oral submission?
Thank you, Chair. There are no members of the public who have registered.
Thank you. Are there any additional members in the public in attendance this evening to make an oral submission? Seeing none, do any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the application? Oh, Steve?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, to the applicant. So we're looking at 4 feet from that side lot line to the neighbor. Is the existing driveway going to have to be shifted over, or are you lining the garage up with the driveway on
No,
that?
it will align. We might have to add a little bit to the drive. It's hard to tell right now I believe if we center the garage door on the proposed building, we either have to turn into the garage as it is right now, or we'd have to decide at a later point if we wanted to just widen the driveway at all.
Full on?
Thank you, Madam Chair. To staff, with this being 4 feet from the lot line, has there been any comments from Public Works and concerns about lock grading or any sort of lock grading requirement and drainage with the abutting neighbor?
No comments from Public Works.
Thank you.
May I have a motion from one of the committee members for application A32-24? Henry? May I have a seconder? Steve? That this Committee of Adjustments, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of land in question and its surrounding as addressed in the planning reports on the application dated October 23, 2024, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearings held on October 23, 2024, and discussion on the matter hereby approve application A32-24. All in favor? Carried. Thanks very much. Will the Secretary Treasurer please introduce the next application, item number 4.4 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.4 on the agenda is minor variance application A33/24 submitted by Geranium regarding lands with no municipal address and legally described as Block 256 on Plan 51M-1252. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit a reduced front yard setback of 5.9 meters and a reduced exterior side yard setback of 6.9 meters for a park pavilion, whereas sections 31.3.4 and 31.3.7 permit a setback of 10 meters for the front and exterior side yard respectively.
Have any additional correspondence and/or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from Enbridge Gas, the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, and the County of Simcoe, all stating no concerns. Source Water Protection stating the South Georgian Bay Lake Simcoe Protection Plan applies to the site and that a notice to proceed will be required, and the Severn Sound Environmental Association stating no concerns.
Can I please have the agent introduce themselves and provide comment, if any?
Good evening, Madam Chair, Ma Chapman, committee members, township staff, and members of public. My name is Michael Hart, Senior Project Manager with Geranium, developer, landowner, and builder within the Midhurst settlement area. I'll be very brief tonight, as I believe the succinct summary by staff and the staff report outlines the application well. So I'm just here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public registered to make an oral submission?
Thank you, Chair. There are no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission.
Thank you. Are there any additional members of the public in attendance this evening to make an oral submission? Seeing none. Do any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the application? Brad?
Thank you. This is just more curiosity. This is already built, I believe. I would assume it would have needed a building permit, but it's not meeting our zoning bylaws. Is that correct?
Yeah, so what happened was a landscape plan was submitted, and usually when we get these kind of landscape plans, you know, it goes to Public Works, it goes to the Parks Department, and the planning staff look at it as well. So I believe there was kind of some confusion a bit on who had the final sign off, and understandably the developer thought that because it was being transferred, it's a public park being constructed by them and being transferred to the municipality. I think it was probably reasonable for them to think that maybe there would be a carve out policy, which we do have one, but the structure is too large. Our carve out policy only applies to a public use structure that's with an area of 45 square meters or square feet, I believe. So it was just kind of a bit of an error on our part, and the manager of Public Works caught this and informed us. So it went to a building permit, and then it was discovered that it didn't meet setback requirements. So to ensure that there was no future legal liability in case any accidents, it was decided that by the director of planning that the best route to kind of make sure we were compliant was to send it through a minor variance.
Steve?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair, to staffs. Two questions. First one, as part of the draft plan approval for this subdivision, was the programming of the park a condition, or was it just to dedicate a block for parkland?
I didn't work on the wider de-hickling files, so I'm not familiar if there was such a condition.
If through you, Madam Chair, I can speak to that if I may.
Yep, go ahead.
So the draft plan condition for this park block was to deliver a graded and seeded park block to the township. We've decided as a developer group to actually program this park, and we went through the detailed design process for this park, and this shade shelter, which is subject to this application, was one of the amenities, including the playgrounds you see here too. Just to the west, or on top of the playground here will be, or not on top, just north of in this view will be a multi-sport court, and to the west will be a soccer field.
Thank you. Follow on?
Thank you, Madam Chair. More of a process question for staff and direction. So through the questions that Brad asked, if this was an error on the municipality's behalf, did the applicant have to pay for this application, or did the town waive the fee?
the township waived the fee.
Thank you. That's the correct answer.
Any other members wish to comment? May I have a motion from one of the committee members for application A33-24? Brad, may I have a seconder? Steve? That the Committee of Adjustments having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 45, the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of land in question and surrounding as addressed in the planning report on the application dated October 23, 2024, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearings held on October 23, 2024, and discussion on the matter hereby approve application A33-24. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
You too. Will the Secretary Treasurer please introduce the next application, item number 4.5 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.5 on the agenda is minor variance application A34/24 submitted by C. McHugh on behalf of S. Vergados regarding lands known municipally as 5462 Penetangwishing Road. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit the construction of a deck with a reduced minimum lakeside setback as described. A minimum lakeside setback of 8.5 meters, whereas section 3.26 requires all structures to be set back at least 18 meters from the water's edge.
Have any additional correspondence and or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from Enbridge Gas, the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, and the County of Simcoe, all stating no concerns. Source Water Protection providing comments on the application, and the Severn Sound Environmental Association also providing comments on the application.
Can I please have the agent introduce themselves and provide comment, if any?
Hello, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. So it's for a deck project for a customer. Now the client, so it's her name's Susan. She has an existing deck, and the deck, which is funny because there's that setback requirement, but the deck is already the deck that was built when the house was built is already well over the setback requirement. So this new deck that we're hoping to build is we're hoping it's 20 feet by 25 feet deep, basically. Yeah.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public registered to make an oral submission?
Thank you, Chair. There are no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission.
Are there any additional members of the public in attendance this evening to make an oral submission? Seeing none. Do any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the application? Mike?
Just a question to the applicant.
Yeah.
So you're saying the existing detached deck
Yeah.
is already encroaching on the waterfront setback?
The deck that was built when she had inherited the house from her late father. Yeah.
I'm just smiling at.
Yeah,
Let's take a product and make it bigger, but
yeah,
but I'm actually not opposed to it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just on it. So the existing deck that's there, the new one that's going, is it bigger?
The new one is an extra 10 feet. So an extra 10 feet deeper.
10 feet deeper. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
May I have a motion from one of the committee members for application A34-24? Mike? May I have a seconder? Henry? That the Committee of Adjustments having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of land in question and surrounding as addressed in the planning report on application dated October 23, 2024, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearings held on October 23, 2024, and the discussion of the matter hereby approve application A34-24. All in favor? Carried. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Will the Secretary Treasurer please introduce the next application, item number 4.6 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.6 on the agenda is consent applications B17/24 and B18/24 submitted by J. Netherly on behalf of M&M Batista regarding lands known municipally as 1409 and 1427 County Road 92. The purpose and effect of the applications is to convey approximately 147.5 square meters of land containing an existing well from 1409 County Road 92 to 1427 County Road 92, and to convey approximately 147.5 square meters from 1427 County Road 92 to 1409 County Road 92. These applications, as proposed, would not result in the creation of any new lots, and the resultant area of both parcels would remain unchanged.
Have any additional correspondence and or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from Enbridge Gas, the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, the County of Simcoe, Source Water Protection, and the Severn Sound Environmental Association, all stating no concerns.
Can I please have the applicant introduce themselves and provide comment, if any?
Good evening, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Marcus Ruggiero, and I will be presenting on behalf of Mario and Margarita Batista for consent being requested at 1409 County Road 92. Next slide, please. The site is located between Yonge Street South and Ushers Road. It's municipally addressed as 1409 County Road 92 and is just southwest of central Elmville, positioned within agricultural and residential land. The OP designates this land as rural, where it's zoned agricultural A, and it has an EP zone on it as well. Next slide, please. So consent is being sought for the lot line adjustment, rectifying a discrepancy identified in a recent surveying of the property. The adjustment will involve the transfer of land between properties at 1409 County Road 92 and 1427 County Road 92. The most recent survey identified a discrepancy in the lot lines, resulting in the neighbor's well being located on the Batista's property. To rectify this issue, a lot line adjustment is being proposed. This adjustment will involve the transfer of a small parcel of land between the properties, ensuring that the well is properly situated on the neighbor's land to the west and following the existing fence and maintenance lines. In 1978, surveys show a setback to the garage of approximately 1 meter, which aligns with the interior side lot lines and follows the fence lines. However, in the 2024 survey, the setback to the dwelling differs because the interior side lot lines do not follow the fence lines. The small sliver of land to be transferred from 1409 County Road 92 to 1427 encompasses an area of approximately 147.3 square meters, and conversely, an equivalent area of land from 1427 County Road 92 will be transferred to 1409 to maintain the overall property size and integrity as shown in the image. This exchange will correct a lot discrepancy and prevent any future conflicts regarding the property use and ownership. Next slide, please. The official plan sets out policies regarding boundary adjustments in section 28.7, and the proposed boundary adjustment complies with the intent of this section, and the adjustment addresses a technical issue where the neighbor's well is located on the Batista's property, correcting a title deficiency. The area and frontage of the remaining and adjusted land parcels will comply with the minimum and maximum requirements of the zoning bylaw, ensuring that no new lots are created and the properties maintain their integrity and usability. Next slide, please. For the same reasons outlined as prior, the proposed boundary adjustment will conform with section 3.11.2.6 of the Springwater Official Plan 2023, as the adjustment ensures the resulting lots will adhere to the area and frontage requirements set out by the zoning bylaw. Next slide, please. So the sought consent demonstrates alignment with township policy directions outlined in both the 2018 and 2023 official plans, as well as maintaining compliance with the current zoning bylaw. In conclusion, this boundary adjustment resolves a technical issue regarding the location of the neighbor's well and ensures that both properties comply with the township's planning policies. The adjustment will not affect the use or future potential of the subject lands, and it represents good planning in the public interest. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks very much. Are there any members of the public registered to make an oral submission?
Thank you. There are no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission.
Are there any additional members of the public in attendance this evening to make an oral submission? Yeah. Do any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the application? Steve?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just the staff, so if I can understand this application. So in the staff report, there's a good visual here in the aerial photography. So C is merging with D.
Through the chair to the rest of committee. Yes, so C, which is the westernly parcel of land, is going to be merging with the larger parcel, so the one owned by the Bautista, and the parcel of land to the east, which has the well on it, will be merging with the smaller property in question here.
Follow on?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So with that parcel C being merged over with D, would that garage now not meet the zoning bylaw in terms of setbacks?
Through the chair to the rest of committee, yes. So one of the conditions of consent was that a minor variance would be required to essentially recognize any of the structures who wouldn't meet the zoning bylaw.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments? May I have a motion from one of the committee members for application B 17-24 and B 18-24? 1 second, Steve.
Madam Chair, just point of clarification, should these not be voted on separately because they're two separate applications and two separate decisions? Because if there's an appeal, they could appeal one application and not the other. So are we voting on them together or should we not be voting on them independently? Thank you.
As per tonight, it's together, but staff can clarify that.
Through the chair and the rest of committee, historically, I know when we've done boundary adjustments, we've done them this way. But Member Ferguson does make a good point that if one application was appealed, it would be that specific application. So I'm a bit unsure of how to proceed.
Go ahead, Secretary Treasurer.
So for the purpose of this evening, the motion is to approve both applications. However, should committee wish to defer and have the applications come back separately, then we can proceed that way as well.
Steve?
Madam Chair, I'm not recommending that we defer it. It's just two separate decisions to be drafted by staff. If staff support, or sorry, if the committee support both applications, it's just, there'd be two separate decisions. That's all I'm asking for, is that if the one application can be read, you vote, and then you read the next one, and then you vote. That's, so I'm not suggesting it be deferred. I'm in favor of the applications. I'm looking at it procedurally, but if the committee wants to vote on it as one motion and one decision, then we can proceed. I just thought I'd just bring that point of clarification to the committee. Thank you.
Any other committee have a question? It came to us as one. I think we should do as one, but Mike?
The application and the motion is one. So I would move that we approve the application.
Any other committee members have comment? May I have a motion from one of the committee members for application B 17-24 and B 18-24? Mike, may I have a seconder? Henry? The Committee of Adjustments, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 53 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of land in question and its surroundings as addressed in the planning report on the application dated October 23, 2024, the correspondence received and for information presented at the hearings held on October 23, 2024, and the decision of the matter hereby approved applications B 17-24 and B 18-24, subject to the following conditions. One, that the applicant meet all requirements, financial and otherwise, of the municipality. Two, that the applicant provide 2 copies of the registered survey for each of the convened lands prepared by the Ontario Land Surveyor. 3, that the owner applicant satisfy and be responsible for all costs to satisfy Section 65 of the Drainage Act 1990 if applicable. 4, that the convened lands from 1409 County Road 92 be merged with the benefiting land known municipality as 1427 County Road 92. 5, that the convened lands from 1427 County Road 92 be merged with the benefiting lands known municipally as 1409 County Road 92. And 6, that the applicant apply for and obtain minor variance approval to recognize the reduced interior side yard setbacks of existing detached accessory buildings located on 1427 County Road 92. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I have one order of other business that Secretary Treasurer will comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I do apologize. This is not included on the agenda this evening. It was a minor oversight on my part. I just wanted to introduce the committee to our new planner. His name is Oliver Ward, and he comes from the Township of Essa. Oliver just started this week, and I just wanted to formally introduce you to him. Yeah, just wanted to include that on our agenda this evening.
Thank you and welcome. May I have a move and a secretary to adjourn this meeting? Henry and Mike, that the Committee of Adjustments meeting held on October 23, 2024 now adjourned at 6:57 p.m. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Have a good evening.